Hi everyone, it's Eileen from the Spiritual Marketing Club. Now, in today's video, I'm going to talk about what I would class as the three most important or three basic things that you need to consider when you are marketing a spiritual business. And what do I mean by a spiritual business? Well, when I talk about a spiritual business, I'm talking about a business that's not just about delivering healing or coaching or therapy or even selling spiritual products, but about actually living and being very spiritual in the way that you deliver your business and you deliver your market. So it's all about integrity, authenticity. Also, it's about you being able to really share your values and your ethics and work with what I call soul clients. So what are the three most important or three basic things that you need to consider when you are marketing, your spiritual business? So the first important thing is you need to get in front of enough of the right audience. And this is, there's a few facets to this, but one of the biggest issues that many businesses have is getting in front of enough of the right audience. And also, most importantly, before that, it's actually knowing who your ideal audience is. And I talk about soul clients a lot, and I'll talk about that in a little minute. But basically, if you do not know who your ideal audience is, or your audience, the audience you choose it's still so big, you've not niched down enough, then what happens is that you will be spending a lot of time and energy in front of a lot of people that are not your audience. And I'll give you some examples. So every single week I get invaded, and I'm going to call it invaded for a reason. I get invaded in my inbox, my social media, my inbox through LinkedIn and things like that, and even my emails by people that I am not their ideal client or soul client. But these people, it's not things I've signed up for. These are things that people actually what we call cold selling, and they approach me. And often the emails, even the way the emails are written, they're written as if they believe already that I'm definitely their ideal client or soul client when I'm not. And when I see this, I realize they don't really know the most important things about business and marketing. And for example, on LinkedIn, so on LinkedIn, it's very easy to see someone's profile, right? And to see who they are and what they do. And many times I got bombarded again by people that if they actually looked at the profile, they would know I'm not their ideal client. And I'll give you some examples. So I had not so long ago a message from someone inviting me to an introduction to stress management. Now, stress management was my area of expertise. I taught it for 20 years. I've studied it for 30 years. I've studied it to university level. I've studied all forms of stress management. And as a specialised subject in its own, and all the other things that can go along with stress management, like meditation, mindfulness, CBT, relaxation therapy, and all sorts of other tools and techniques that we use to support people in stress management. So I definitely was not their ideal client. And often I also get asked, a lot of people that are maybe new business coaches that are just starting out, that are even struggling to really with the basics, telling me that I'm their ideal client when I'm not their ideal client. So this is the kind of thing that we can get. And one of the things that I don't like personally is being invaded in my inbox. I really don't like it. It's something I feel it's an invasion in many ways. Your privacy, especially like, say, for example, your Facebook, your personal page, when you start getting bombarded with people. And then one of the other ones is people who message you and they're trying to sell you something. And if you're trying to get in an engagement with them to find out a little bit more about them, they don't even reply. So they're only interested in the sale. It's not. And I mean, most spiritual businesses would never do those sort of things. But there is some coaches that will push and push and push certain businesses and certain, you know, even spiritual business owners to do that type of marketing and business. And most spiritual teachers, healers and coaches they know that feels really icky to them. It doesn't feel right because they know that their role is not to push themselves and not to force themselves on clients. That's not, that's not what we're here to do. So how do you get in front of enough of the right audience? Well, as I say, you have to really know who your ideal audience is. And I talk about soul clients. And if you don't really know about soul clients and you want to learn a little bit more, I have a free 5-day, it's just like a mini video series, and you get little mini videos to get you thinking more about soul clients. And the reason that I focus on soul clients, and what do I mean by soul clients? Well, I seen recently someone who'd signed up for some of my freebies had said it's a soulmate clients. It's not really soulmate clients. That's kind of wrong. Yes, your soul clients are like a soul tribe, so it's more like a soul family, right? In a way, right? But what I mean, and I think the easiest way to explain it is that with a soul audience, if you think about a soul client, there is a deeper connection and they really get what you do. It's like almost like you tick all the boxes. Okay, so some of us can go sometimes to coaches, healers or therapists, and maybe they don't tick all of the boxes, but at that point, they seem to be the best that we can get, or who only we can get for whatever reason at that time. So they maybe tick 5 out of 6 boxes. A soul client, you tend to tick the 6 boxes, and you just give that a little bit more. They really get it, okay? And they're also coming to you from there's an unconsciousness. There is often, I talk about your archetypes, there's aspects of your archetypes that they are attracted to that point. Okay, so there's certain traits or certain qualities that you have that makes the experience more pleasant or makes it more helpful, if that's easy to explain it. So, for example, I have a mixture of archetypes like most people, and even though archetypes, many people will class archetypes in some way, it's still the ego, it's the personality, right? We are having a human experience, and we all come with different gifts and different traits for different reasons, different strengths and weaknesses. So I'm a very strong caregiver, what they call nurturer. And I'm an alchemist, and I'm a creator. And also in some archetypes, I'll also come out as the lover, okay? Now, so for me, because mine is the strongest as the caregiver, my biggest selling point is that I am an overgiver. But as a business owner, I have to be very careful with that in a way, because it's like every archetype, you have a positive, and maybe positive and negative, it's not the right way, but it's like a light and a shadow, it's just, the kind of strengths and vulnerabilities. So my selling point is that I am naturally an overgiver. I'm generous, I'm caring, I help people put people at ease. And if people need more a comforting session, or a safe space, that I can provide that. But I also, in relation to having that archetype, have to be very firm that I only focus on soul clients. And that's something that's took me a long time to really be more boundaried about, because I'm very empathic as well. And if I have clients that are too, for example, alchemist, or too the extreme, they may be more warrior or rebel, who want to control the sessions or who want to take, that's not healthy for me. It depends on so many things about the person and what they've done. So for me, I like to help clients and use archetypes in a way because it helps support them, not just to do with their marketing, but their style of their business, and to recognize their strengths and their weaknesses. But I also prefer attracting clients that have an element of the caregiver in it, because I know we're on the same wavelength and that it's less demanding and less draining for me. So that what, because I know my clients, and I attract a lot of alchemists, but I attract often alchemists that have that caring element. Okay. Now, when you know your ideal clients and you've kind of really niched it down to like soul clients, it can make a huge difference, because you know who your audience is and who is not your ideal audience. And that's really, really important. But then the job is you have to get in front of that audience. Okay. And this is where some people get a wee bit stuck. Okay. The key here is you have to consider things like your social media platforms. You have to consider how many people you're getting in front of, and really know your statistics, right? Because what a lot of people don't seem to understand is that depending on the industry, depending on what you're offering, so of the holistic industry and the spiritual industry, these is where I can see it. It's classed in a technical term, and I mean technical term for competitiveness, right? And what I mean is that you've got other people that are offering that is similar in one terms. And what I mean by that, I know I always stress that everyone is individual and everyone is offering something different, but that doesn't mean that it appears like that to the client, right? So for example, if I have 100 Reiki healers in front of me and none of them are showing their individuality and what makes them unique and more suited to me, I don't know what to choose. Okay, so that's for example. Okay, so soul clients are so much easier to market to once, and if you understand your audience and you then have a message and you're able to stand out. Okay, so the second thing that's really, really important is you need to, the first one is getting in front of the audience, right? And the right audience, and that specific audience. And just to go back to that before I go to the next step, I should maybe emphasize something. So for example, if you say that you are targeting female entrepreneurs or female healers, I would dig down again. So be specific. So what type of female healers, what type of female entrepreneurs, and what is their biggest issue, and who out of even that category might not be your audience? Because for example, I don't really spend as much time now, but I used to be in a lot of spiritual groups that had, basically it was a lot of healers just sharing their own wares, right, with other healers. And these groups can be good for networking, but what I was seeing was a lot of people very new into the industry just trying to sell, for example, Reiki and basic courses to other people that were far more advanced in them, and they were spending lots of time and energy just marketing in these groups where their ideal audience wasn't hanging out. Now, even if you believe that your audience is healers, you still have to know what level and what type of person may or may not come to you, so that you know. So the more that then you hang about or you pay for advertising, whatever form, to target that specific audience. It's all about, being more specific, and most people make the mistake, they're not specific enough. I mean, I get asked to do a lot of things like join, it can be like events and all sorts of things. And sometimes these are just, it's definitely not my audience. And I mean, I even get people saying, but I'm a spiritual business, or I'm a spiritual coach, or a spiritual business coach. But if I look through what they're offering, it might not align with my values. And, a lot of the things that they may do just doesn't fit with what I think, is from what feels right for me as a spiritual business. So it's not wise for me to then go and spend a lot of time and money on working on a project that is not going to be aligned with my business. And that's something that I've learned, sometimes we learn the hard way. But going back to the second thing, you need to be able to be visible and stand out. So it's not just about showing up. If you're showing up in a crowd, okay, and everyone, again, as I used the analogy of like Reiki, how do you stand out in front of the crowd? And one of the biggest differences that we have today in marketing is that a lot of people are going online. I've always run part of my business online, so I have an advantage that I understand the difference between, how could you say, online marketing and physical marketing. So if someone has a holistic clinic and it's in the middle of a centre and it's on a main road, they get marketing just by people passing by and seeing it in word of mouth. So that's one form, and they can advertise in different ways. If you're a business that only markets online, and I've had to do that now for many years because I have a range of rare disabilities, which means that I am, like, my business is totally from home. And I've also had, sometimes just to do with different challenges I've had, even networking online has not been suitable for me. So I've had to rely on all sorts of forms of online marketing, and not just even on networking. It's a fantastic way. I've not been able to do the same networking that would be helpful for me. So I've had to rely on completely different ways of marketing. And I have to get in front of enough of my audience. Now, I choose to work more like boutique. And what I mean by that is I choose to in many ways, even if people don't see it, my soul clients are quite niche, right? I have clients that are more ideal clients. And what I mean by that is are ideal customers, but I will also have soul customers. So even though I aim my work at what I would call soul clients or soul customers, I still attract other people that benefit from my courses, right? And what I mean by that is that, so my ideal customers are experienced healers or coaches, okay, that I've had, quite a wee bit of experience under their belt, and they tend want to up level their business and take their branding in their business or their path. They want to find out, really, they want to take that next step and leap forward, okay? And they're changing different things about their business, or they want to own more of their gifts, or they want to find out how to kind of create courses and create programs in a way that can combine a lot of skills that they've gathered through the years and just take it that step up. I do attract sometimes new people into the industry, but often they don't always get or value what I offer because they've not been in the industry long enough and maybe not face certain challenges or business challenges that many other business owners face. So also the way I work, because I'm a healer, I trained, I've been a healer for 30 years, and I've trained in many different types of healing. And I use my healing work even when I'm doing my business and marketing, is that I have a certain level of experience, and obviously the way maybe I talk and the way that things that I talk about, again, maybe people are just starting out with basic level healing, or just starting out on their spiritual journey, maybe not have, maybe just find certain things a wee bit more difficult to comprehend, or they're just revealing more about themselves, okay? So it's important that you know who your soul clients are. Well, I believe it is, if you want to create a very effective marketing plan, and if you want to stop wasting time on a lot of people that are not, because it's very easy to attract a lot of people on a mailing list and a lot of people for freebies and a lot of people who will watch your stuff, but who will actually buy and invest is different. And that's the key. You have to be able to convert it into people buyers, not just people who just want all the freebies, or like what I used to get. I used to get a lot of people who would expect me to reply to big long emails and just it was like almost they just wanted everything for nothing. You can't sustain a business like that. We, as spiritual entrepreneurs, a true spiritual entrepreneur is coming in because you're guided and you want to make a difference in the world. But we have to be very careful in the relation that we are being valued, and that the people that are, that we attract actually want to invest. They don't just want to take. You have to be able to get to that aspect. So that's why it's so important that you do, number one, you know exactly who and who is not your ideal client, and two, you get in front of enough people. And one of the biggest things is that, because in many ways, I've seen a huge increase in the last 10 to 15 years in the industry in relation to, like, when I first got into the industry and I started studying things like Reiki and meditation, I didn't really know many people that were doing what I was doing. And now it's like, even in my area, there's hundreds, for example, in fact, there must be thousands of people that have studied Reiki. And that gives you an idea. So things have changed. I'm not saying all of them are doing it as a business, but things have very rapidly changed. So we're in a situation where the more that you know who is perfect for you, the better. And the more that you know how to get in front of enough of that audience, and understand that also what people sometimes don't realize, like, for example, it can be a 0.1 or a 0.01% conversion. It depends on how could you say, and I'm saying the word competitive, but what I mean in a statistic way. I mean, if you look at, there's so many people and they're all trying to get work, how and if, for example, say there's 1,000 coaches, right, and there's 1,000 people looking for a coach, right? That's the idea. What people sometimes forget is that they look at their Facebook page and they maybe have 500, 600, 700 or 800 people or 1,000 people, and they automatically think those 1,000 people that have liked their page are their clients. That isn't always the case. I would encourage you to aim for that, but many people are so focused on getting likes and people like their page to help them out that they're not their actual clients. So what they don't realize, they keep thinking that those 1,000 likes are going to convert into clients, and it doesn't really work like that. And even when an advert goes out, they are often, particularly people new to business and marketing, do not realize how many people they have to reach to convert. Okay, so one of the biggest downfalls is many people underestimate how many people they have to get in front of, right, and what they have to do to get in front of that. So you need a plan. And it has to start with one, because if you do not know what one is, and you don't know where they hang out, or you can be going to lots of places, doing lots of lives, you can be doing networking in other groups, but you're not reaching your audience. And again, that's one thing I get asked again. And sometimes I hate doing it. People sometimes ask me to do things in a group, and I look at the group and I think, that's not my audience. And I have to be, like any business owner, have to be ruthless with my time. And, it's, you have to, be honest. If someone's just starting out and their audience is, beginners, and you're offering something very advanced, right? You have to, think, right, okay, is that my audience, or am I just doing it to help that person out? And in business, we can want to do that, but it's not realistic. So you have to be visible and you need to stand out. And one of the things that I use is archetypal. I help clients with archetypal branding and marketing. But the difference between when you're using archetypal branding and marketing in a spiritual business and a normal business is there's quite a few different things that you need to do in a certain way just to get the biggest impact. And also it's about, you're selling the solution to the client, and sometimes that solution is partly the energy of you, but don't let the energy of you overtake the solution that the client's the client's looking in. And this is why some people make the biggest mistake of only choosing colours they like rather than what's going to be attractable or appropriate for their audience or for their business. So for example, not so long ago, someone asked me, it was like a free discovery session, and they asked me to take a look at their website, and their website was black and red. It was very aggressive for their audience and very stressful for their audience. They liked those colours together, but the reality was, for what she was selling, that would be very aggressive for her audience, and it was not really, it did not tie in with what she's selling, okay? And it did stand out. It definitely stood out, but it did not give the message that really the energy that she wanted. And just because you like something does not mean that that is going to be what your clients need and want. And I think this is really important. And this is why I sometimes see a lot of healers attracted to colours that they really like. And often it's colours they need. They're drawn to it on a healing element. And it's not really the colours that their audience needs. So these are things you've got to consider. The third thing is that once you stand out and you're visible, you have to be able to engage with that audience. You have to attract them and nurture a connection with them, right? And that's what marketing's all about. And again, in the online community, particularly if you're selling on an online community, and that's where most of your marketing, it can be very different from someone popping into a clinic for a therapy. If you're offering coaching programs, online sessions, it can take a little bit of the sales funnel process can be a little bit longer than like physical therapies that tend to have a shorter span of people wanting to buy. You know, people's got a sore shoulder and they want that massage therapy. Someone's hurt their back, they want that therapy. When people are invested in things like their spiritual journey, then maybe even investing in training or a coaching program, they tend to more hum and haw what they're actually choosing, who, and just because someone does not invest in you, because this is one of the things that I couldn't believe. I remember being in a group and I couldn't believe what the coach was saying to people, and I thought, oh my goodness, what a way to look at things, which she was kind of telling everybody that, you know, if your people don't invest, you just tell them they're not, if they're not willing to spend a certain amount of money, they're not interested in investing in themselves. And I kind of thought to myself, but maybe they're not interested in you or that person, you're not right for them. And we've got to remember that, it's not all about us, it's about the client, right? And obviously we've got to design a business that's suited to us, but it's all about what's right for the client. And if we are not wanting to provide for the right clients, and if we're not wanting the wrong clients to go to somebody else, there's something wrong. We're not running a spiritual business. We're not really coming from that spiritual place. So we have to be able to nurture a relationship, attract and engage and build that connection. And that's where marketing strategies over time. And I have people who follow me for years and don't buy. That's, there's some people it's just like that. They're maybe not, they're interested. And then they buy later on. I also get clients who begin with me and then and I see this a lot in the holistic and spiritual industry, who they have this, that's like, well, I shouldn't need to spend on marketing or advertise. I shouldn't need to spend on business. And they seem to think that business advice and marketing advice and all that should come free. And they don't sort of realise, and I mean, I've probably just spent as much time, or maybe a wee bit less, but still lots of thousands of pounds, probably in your tens of thousands of pounds, and in training and marketing and learning all things about SEO, because my business was an online business. And it was before you could get a lot of things as cheap as you can today. And I still invest highly, because if I am helping other people with their business and marketing, I really need to know a lot more than what you do, right? So it's really, really important that I'm up to date and that I invest in myself, right? So what happens is sometimes you get clients who resist, and then they go ahead and then they realise further down the line they're not any further forward because they haven't maybe done the things you suggested, or they realise now why they maybe need a certain amount of things, or your advice will help them grow their business and their marketing a lot better, right? And it's the same with you. You will maybe attract a client an odd time and they kind of think, oh, I'm not invested in 9 sessions or 10 sessions or 12 sessions, or I'll be fine. And then they keep hitting a problem, or they keep going back to the problem they originally had. And they maybe then get to a couple of years down the line, or maybe shorter than that, and think, oh no, this problem's happening again and it's now got out of control. I need to do something about it. Sometimes that happens. Or sometimes people can have, for all sorts of reasons. I mean, I know myself, I was very unlucky in my, and I'm saying unlucky, but it was, in many ways, it was good experience. But I had a lot because I had very rare medical challenges, and I had something from a baby. Something that people maybe wouldn't know how to deal with. So basically, a big indentation in my face that affected my breathing, affected all sorts of things. That impacted, and it had rare other things like mercury poisoning and all that. And I went down a lot of routes where people would say, oh, this will help, oh no, this will help, or I think definitely will help, and or this will definitely. And what I would spend thousands of pounds of people in treatments that, now looking back and being more objective and understanding so much more about my own body, understanding what really was going on, and understanding a bigger perspective from an energetic perspective, I realised that none of these things would ever have worked because they were not addressing the issue, or they were basically contraindications, but the person didn't experience. But again, the issue a lot of times there was also people trying to be all things to all people. And I've also been to people who said they specialised in areas and they clearly did not specialise. They didn't really know much about what they were treating. They just thought it was a good idea to become a specialist in something, but they didn't have the backup. So it's really, really important to know your skills, start where your skills end, and go back to number one again. And when you know your number one and you know who and who isn't in your ideal client, you then use your marketing, you use your blogs, you use your videos, you get into a pattern of building up that relationship, building up connection, and building up confidence. Because not everyone, you've got to understand that when people are buying from the holistic or spiritual industry, they may have medical conditions, or even to do with their spiritual awakening or challenges. They may have went down a path that was not helpful. So they have blockages, or their fears, and fears come from for all sorts of reasons. So just like you may be hesitant about getting into a new relationship because you've been really wounded by someone, some people are going to take more time and are going to want to know more about you, so the more that you can build that connection, you can nurture that relationship. Then when you convert them into a client, that can be a client that, even though you don't want your clients to keep coming over and over again, that's not the whole point. We want to empower them to move forward themselves. Anyway, you still have a lifelong client, because if they need you, they will come back, or they will send other people. And that makes a more sustainable business. So they are, to me, the most fundamental things. The first thing, you have to know your audience. You need to know who your ideal client is, and even better is your soul client. And if you don't really know and you want to learn more about soul clients, check out my site, spiritualmarketingclub.com, and you'll be able to go to the freebie section and you'll be able to get the free course. The second thing is you need to be in front of enough audience. But if you don't know who number one is, and you've not ruled out who's not your ideal client, you can spend lots of time, lots of energy in the wrong audience. You need to recognize that you need to be, getting in front of thousands of people through blogs, through your videos, different ways, and more of people that, or more and more people that are ready to buy, that have that pain point that you solve right now. Okay. And number three, it's about you having the ability to not just be in front of someone, right, and be visible and stand out, but to actually then make that connection, that relationship, that, right, okay, are you the right person? Can I trust you? Can you show me evidence? Because one of the biggest things that spiritual entrepreneurs want to do is they want to market honestly. They don't want to use all the overhyped jargon that many marketers use that can be very manipulative, can be very dishonest. They want to be more authentic and they want to be more transparent. So they don't want to imply things that they can't promise or whatever, or imply things that they don't really know. So when you market more authentically, you build up a better connection because people can trust you. And that's one of the big advantages if you're a spiritual entrepreneur and you learn how to market more spiritually. And it's very easy to fall back into the traps of the overhyped marketing. We can all do it because we have been fed this hype. We are used to hype. We're used to lots of words that are overhyped. And because that's what we've been exposed to for many years ourselves in the marketplace. But many people are also getting sick of that. They know not to believe just because someone says that'll transform your life, or this, this is, your dreams are going to come true and all this kind of thing. Most people know that just because someone writes something on their marketing and states something doesn't mean it's true, right? That's unfortunately the truth. So you have to show evidence, okay? So they are the three most important things. And if you get back to basics, it makes things so much easier. And these are really, really important things that you need to consider if you are, really want to run a successful spiritual business. So have a wonderful day. Bye for now.